Hey guys, welcome to Star Wars Timeline. Today we're discussing Anakin Solo. As always, this video will be broken down into three sections. First, we'll take a look at his story overview. Second, we'll discuss his personality type as well as his Jedi powers. And lastly, I'll give you my personal impression of this character and what I hope to see in the future. As always guys, thank you so much for supporting my channel. Please like this video, sub, it always helps out. Before we get into it, I do apologize for my red skin. This was my 4th of July escapades going to the Jersey Shore beach, and I completely underestimated the sun. I feel like Anakin on Mustafar right now. Anyway, let's get into it. So, Anakin Solo is a human male Jedi Knight, and he is the youngest son of Han and Leia. He was born 10 years after the events of Episode 4, or after Battle of Yavin. He's also the youngest brother to Jacen and Jaine Solo, the two twins. He's first mentioned in a comic book called The Dark Empire, issue number 5, which released in 1992. It was written by Tom Veitch and drawn by Cam Kennedy with some amazing artwork. Leia named him after her father, Anakin Skywalker, because she wanted to redeem his name. Obviously, at the end, Vader relinquishes the dark side, right? And Luke was able to bring him to the light. While Leia was nursing the child, the Emperor's spirit was trying to touch the child in the Force, and he was trying to attempted to take over unborn Anakin's body to sustain his own spirit. But that was prevented when Han actually shot the clone of Emperor Palpatine and destroyed him. So 11-year-old Anakin trained on Yavin 4 Praxium, which Luke Skywalker has reestablished the new Jedi Order in the Star Wars Legends books, and this is where Anakin travels to train and excel in his Force studies. This is where he met Tahiri Vela, an orphaned girl from Tatooine, and together they become fast friends and they share great many adventures. When Anakin was 15 years old, he was well into his Jedi Knight training, but he also witnessed a devastating intergalactic war. These new invaders, the Yuuzhan Vong, came in full force, and they had these biologically grown ships, armor, and weaponry, and they despised everything that was technological. At one point, Anakin and his father Han traveled to the planet called Serpendal to pick up a shipment for Lando Calrissian. But they soon discovered that the moon is on the collision course with the planet, and of course they stay behind to help the evacuation efforts. As a result of this, there's a great dramatic scene where Anakin Solo loses a very dear friend, and a number of years after this event, he feels guilt and he needs to reconcile this event. And he also has a great relationship rift with his father, and it becomes very uneasy for a number of years for them. He also develops new tactics to find this new Yuuzhan Vong army. He rediscovers the battle meditation as well as force meld with his siblings Jacen and Jaine. I will go into these two a little bit later in this video when we discuss his Jedi abilities. He also performs a lot of heroic deeds, and he attains a statue of his grandfather, Anakin Skywalker, in Clone Wars. All of the Jedi on the battlefield start revering Anakin and say he is indeed a Skywalker bloodline. He also played a key role in repairing a key military target called the Centerpoint Station, which he plans to use against his enemy. However, he was dissuaded by his older brother Jacen, and he said, you shouldn't use it. It could cause irreparable damage. And of course, there's another great villain in the Star Wars Legends books. Han Solo has a cousin, and his name is THRAWN Solo, who is no good guy, right? And he fires this Centerpoint Station instead, as a result, destroying the opponents, the Yuuzhan Vong fleet, but as well causing major devastation to the Happen fleet, his allies. There's a new deadly enemies that the Yuuzhan Vong develop, which are called the Voxing. And the Voxing are bioengineered hounds who are able to sense any force sensitive. Thus, they were developed to hunt and kill Jedi all over the galaxy. As a countermeasure, Anakin devises a plan, and he volunteers to lead the strike mission to a planet called Merkur. And when the mission goes completely out of control, Anakin actually stays behind to buy some more time for his allies, which once again results in a very climatic and dramatic battle. Now let's discuss his personality as well as Anakin's powers. We know that right from the beginning, from early childhood, Anakin demonstrates a high intellect, and he is very interested in stuff, everything cerebral, right? He loves solving mind-bending puzzles. He enjoys mathematics and engineering, and he enjoys fixing stuff, just like his grandfather, Anakin Skywalker. He also has a very pragmatic view on the Force, and to him, early on in his training, it was like breathing air. He said, well, Jedi should use it for everything since we have access to it. However, his aunt, Mara Jade Skywalker, she teaches him to revere and respect the Force a little more and not treat it as a tool and not rely on it too much as a crutch. She said, you should believe in yourself as a person, as an individual, and you should use the Force when necessary, not in every whim, not at every situation you deem worthy. As I mentioned earlier, Anakin Solo experiences a devastating loss of a friend, and as a result of that, he became more responsible. He also became a very charismatic leader, and he's very resourceful, and he saw tactics, and his intuition led him to places where other Jedi saw no exit and no solution. He also creates a bond with Terry Vela, and which obviously blossoms into a teenage love relationship. And at one point, it is said that they share a connection which reaches far beyond words. Just like his grandfather, he becomes a prodigy in the Force. He's a very gifted pilot, and he also is a skilled mechanic. As far as Anakin's Force talents go, he has natural affinity with it. He has understanding and has raw power with the Force, like his grandfather, and he also rediscovers this battle meditation, which ancient Jedi used in the past. And what battle meditation is, for those of you guys who don't know, is where a single Jedi spreads out his awareness in the Force, and it's able to encourage and reinforce the resolve of all of your allies, whether they're Force sensitive or not, whether they're Jedi or not, right? All of the troops that you rally, you basically bolster and encourage them, and it significantly affects your armies and troops' performance in battle. He also creates a Force meld with Jacen and Jaine, which is basically the two twins and a younger sibling, Anakin. They're able to trace each other's thoughts and predict what their next movement is going to be across the galaxy. So even a much stronger, more intimate relationship between the three siblings. We also know that Anakin Solo was the first Jedi to ever discover and implement the Vong sense. Because we understand that these new invaders, the Yuuzhan Vong, they're somehow blind to the Force, and you're not able to sense them in the Force through casual means. So what Anakin develops is a way to find and discover them and to sense them through the Force, which was previously unavailable. So he's the first one who developed this skill. He's also a very skilled single lightsaber user, and he's said to be a great duelist. But also, Anakin Solo perfected the two-bladed Jarkai form, which is kind of similar to the fourth form of Ataru, which we know Ahsoka Tano perfected when she was just a Padawan. Anakin's ultimate confrontation with Yuuzhan Vong demonstrates some of the strongest Jedi powers ever seen in Star Wars Legends, which he basically concentrates the Force into pure beams of white light. And he's actually a Jedi, not a Sith, who is able to use the Force lighting to combat the Yuuzhan Vong. So guys, what was my impression of Anakin Solo when I was reading him back in my days of reading the Star Wars Expanded Universe and Legends? First of all, I loved the twins, Jacen and Jaine, but I enjoyed that he had a distinct personality of his own. Yes, he enjoys tinkering around with technology, just like Anakin Skywalker, just like Jacen, his older brother, but still, his interest might have crossed over with his sibling and his grandfather, but personality-wise, he was very different. He has great charisma, much more so than other younger Jedi, even, I would argue, Jacen Solo, his older brother. A lot more people were willing to listen to Anakin. He had also a very benevolent personality, and I loved his relationship with Tahiri. It's just, I felt so much for it. There was these two promising young Jedi Knights, and, you know, at the heart of it was their bond, their love, their relationship. It's something that I enjoyed about Star Wars Legends, and something that was very hard for me to absorb in Star Wars prequels, where the Jedi were meant to be not involved in any kind of romantic relationship. Well, also, what I enjoyed about him is that he is a very wise young man. He's almost like an old body, right, in a young person, where the decisions that he makes and the personal choices and the routes that he takes and even the tactics that he employs against the Yuuzhan Vong, he matures so fast because he's raised in the middle of this war, and he had no other choice, no other means but to just catch up quickly and become a very wise Jedi. And I also love that he has a retrospective personality and adaptability, and he understands when there is a need to shift gears or your thinking process in order to overcome your challenges. And at one point, he even challenges the Jedi status quo, and he tells respectfully to his uncle, Luke Skywalker, no, this is the route that we should take. And he doesn't act out of egotistical kind of like, hey, everybody should listen to me now. I am the center of attention. He acts out of wisdom and out of learned experiences. He says, look, uncle, we tried this before. It doesn't work. Why don't we change, the way that we thought about this new enemy and try a different tactic? And this is the reason why I loved Anakin so much. So what do I hope to see in the future with this character? I'm one of Star Wars fans who is very comfortable with Star Wars Expanded Universe being Legends and also having a new canon. Those two sit separately from one another. They don't cross over much, and they don't interrupt the stories in either one. But you can enjoy both, right? You could go to Legends and enjoy those stories there, and you could see some of those characters that were transplanted into modern canon, but the two are separate. And I actually prefer it this way because I feel that a lot of stuff that was in Legends, if newer authors were trying to pick up those stories and continue them, there might have been some kind of narrative dissonance and they were trying to do things differently, and I'm pretty sure a lot of fans would complain. Anyway, how do we get Anakin Solo in modern day Star Wars? Well, there's several ways they could go about it. Obviously, it would be a very hard ask to say, please canonize Anakin Solo and write him back into the new stories. When we look at Kylo Ren, Ben Solo, he sort of channels all three siblings that we see in prequels. I mean, when I was looking at The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and even The Rise of the Skywalker, a lot of the story beats that we see in Ben Solo kind of mirror the siblings from the Star Wars Legends. But as far as Anakin Solo goes as a separate character, I don't see how he could be a part of the current canon. There's several ways to go about reintroducing him, though. First, you could have a story like Star Wars Visions, which is not canonical, right? I would love to see all of the siblings, Jacen, Jaine, and Anakin, presented in a form that is not necessarily canon or Legends, just sitting somewhere in between, independent of all the stuff that was previously written. Just say like, look, these characters existed before, let's bring them back in a kind of Visions-like Disney Plus show where we continue their adventures without much reliance on what's currently canon. Another way that you could possibly do it is, me as a huge video game fan, I always bring this example, right? We had an old school PlayStation 1 Star Wars video game called Masters of Teräs Käsi, which was like, you pick your favorite Star Wars characters from Legends or from movies, and you pit them against one another without rhyme or reason. There wasn't much story going on there. And I always pitch this idea. What if you have a fighting video game? And we all know as fighting game fans, those don't require a lot of stories. As long as the gameplay mechanics and the fighting mechanics are fun, as long as you get a cool roster of characters, you're good to go. Street Fighter was never known for its epic storytelling. Same with Mortal Kombat or Tekken. Those games are always gibberish in terms of storyline. You could have Luke Skywalker as an opening cinematic sit down and commune with the spirit of Master Yoda and say, what are some of the great Jedi? Could you please tell me, Master, the heroes from the past, the current, or maybe possibly from the future? And this would be a perfect scenario, an excuse to pull different Jedi Knights from all sources, right? From Star Wars canon, from the High Republic, from the old school new Jedi Order series, with Jacen Solo, or Anakin Solo, or even Jaine, and bring all of these characters together just so fighting fans could sit down and enjoy those characters that way. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for checking out this character highlight video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked it, please consider subscribing to the channel, like this video, and I'll catch you guys next time.